the Climax, the podcast Christmas special. Lots of fun stuff and a little bit of history here. You know, for a show that hasn't had an episode yet, this is our second non-episode, but I think you're going to enjoy what's going on here. But first, a little bit of business. One thing listeners of this show can count on is anything in the way of business when it comes to podcasts, we're going to get done right up front. For a couple of reasons. One, let's just rip the Band-Aid and get it done. And number two, it kind of lets you know that, hey, this might be the boring stuff you want to skip over, so fast forward a couple minutes to get to the good part. Wink, wink. All things are go for next week. Legends! I'm not even putting that lightly. Legends of the Climax-Scotts community will be interviewed next week. I can't wait to sit down with the guest list, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not putting out that guest list yet on purpose. One of those reasons is it's winter, weather, and timing, and it's the holidays. I've got some very loose time frames lined up with some of these guests, but I've got to get to Climax from Chicago. Some other people have to get traveled into the Climax area or maybe get back from being out of town for the last week or so. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be more fun if it's more or less a surprise when Season 1 drops in January. Second of all, just thank you. Thank you, everyone, for that. I can only call it an outpouring of support. This isn't any big media conglomerate. This is just some dude talking on a microphone in his basement in suburban Chicago. Made a Facebook page, but the word of mouth, the strength of the Climax-Scotts community, the love of the Climax-Scotts community has really been shown to me in the last week or so. I've heard from people I hear from fairly regularly. I hear from people that I haven't heard from in decades in some cases. Some people I've never heard from at all. Like, I knew who they were. I knew the house where they grew up. I could probably drive to it right now if I wanted to. But we all have this common ground of a love of Climax and Scotts, Michigan, and the Climax-Scotts community. So thank you all for the support so far. Something I am looking at doing, I've still got to do a little bit more due diligence, but I love some of the quintessential classic Climax t-shirts. You know the ones I'm talking about if you're a lifelong Climax resident. I'm talking about the old shirt that you could get at the Village Takeout, white t-shirt. I think it was a blue silhouette of Michigan with a star on it. The top said, "I've finally reached Climax, ... And then on the bottom, in Michigan. We've all seen the shirt. We all love the shirt. We've all lived a lifetime of people making what they thought were clever jokes that we've heard 1,000 times before. That shirt, though, will always have a fond place in my heart. But I need everyone's help with a couple of things here. I'm trying to find out who the original designer was of that shirt. Are they still around? Can we get in contact with them? And heck, is the original design still out there? Want to do that for a few reasons, but the biggest one is making sure that whoever made this legendary t-shirt gets proper due and proper credit. And then the other shirt, I think was available at the Village Takeout. I want to say it was available at Sinclair's too. My memory's getting a little foggy in that particular detail. I think you know the shirt. It was probably in a couple colors, but I most vividly remember the yellow variant of it. Yellow t-shirt, black clip art of a cow that just said Climax, the good life. And I put a feeler out on Facebook earlier this week, and the common consensus seems to be that Eric Swager, if not Eric, a Swager. So that narrows the field down to, 45, 50 other people? I kid. Everyone knows I love the Swagers. But same story. If anyone can say for sure who designed that shirt and if the original design might still be out there, I want to bring these tees back. I have a way to get them produced basically to your orders on the internet, so nobody has to front a bunch of cost to get some t-shirts made, but we can get them printed and mailed right to your door. And the last matter of business, we have the Ellen Pierce call-in and memorial show in perfect English, tributes to Mrs. Pierce. That's going to be part of Season 1. There's several different ways that you can be a part of it, and I want you, the listeners, to be a big part of this show. You can email me your stories at climaxthepodcast@gmail.com. If you have a story that fits inside of a 3-minute window, you can leave me a voicemail at the Climax the Podcast hotline. That seems weird to say, but it's really a thing. 779-456-6713. You can call that number and leave your memories of Mrs. Pierce, a 30 years plus teacher of the Climax-Scotts Community Schools, one of the most revered educators in the town's history. If you think you're going to need more than 3 minutes, that's a possibility too. Just shoot me an email at climaxthepodcast.com and I can set up a call where we can talk a little bit longer and do a little bit more of a longer recording. So if you have a story that doesn't quite fit in those 3 minutes, or maybe you have multiple stories that might take a couple of 3-minute segments, just shoot me an email. I want to make everybody's thoughts and remembrance of Ellen Pierce come to light. And now it's time for our first musical guest. Yeah, that's a thing. But to get there, we're going to have to go into a time machine. Let's play a little tune and see if anyone recognizes some of these voices.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
The girls do, what is that? That neat walk, line walk, you know.
Oh, line dance.
Yeah.
Bea, it's wonderful to have you down here again.
That lays down here. Now, you heard some of their new good stuff. And did we ever play that again?
Did we ever do that?
Yes, we did. I think we did. I love it.
I don't know, but I do know it, yeah.
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 Okay. There you go. You haven't played that long time.
I got a eerie lane now, that's for sure.
Play it in,
Play what?
whatever.
You pick out what you want.
I'll tell you what, that song means a lot to me. It's meant a lot to my Uncle Jay. It's meant a lot to a number of the Swaggers. It's been kind of an inside joke with a number of that circle for a long time. The song was Alley Cat, but one of those voices was longtime Climax resident and my dear, sweet grandmother, Bea Weessies. Or Weessies. It gets pronounced both ways. I think both ways are right. I'm probably going to alternate between the two. Bea Weessies is famous for a lot of things in the town. She was involved in the Harvester restaurant in its early days. She played at the church. She played with some dance bands at different areas. She played with Betty Rowe. She played at Pine Creek in West Leroy, which was kind of a socialite spot for a lot of folks from Climax. She would play there, I believe, with Betty. I want to say Donald Drowlett as well. I've heard a rumor, and I might be wrong on this, but let me know. I believe Peggy and Larry Jenkins met at Pine Creek while some of these combinations of folks were playing, and then they later got married. How fun is that for a little bit of Climax history? Now, if you knew Bea or you have heard stories of Bea, she could be adequately described as quite a colorful character. So to make it a little bit more Christmassy, here's a track that I actually dubbed several years ago when I ported this onto a computer for my family. We're going to call this Bea Weessies XXXmas. Take it away.
How about that?
Silver bill, that's me.
Oh. Try it. One more verse.
Pick up your F on the way in the main.
One more verse. Okay.
That's been turned off.
What?
I don't know.
No, he didn't turn it off. It's still going.
We're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to go off holiday again, and we're going to need to jump in a time machine to the year 1996. The scene, Climax-Scotts Junior Senior High School. The band, the Climax-Scotts High School Band. The director, Diane Stoddard. This is one of the many treasures I have in my personal collection, and treasures that I may have some access to through some people I know and places that I can go. But I wanted to share this piece because I think most people outside of the band bubble might not know about this. Now, I wanted to post this whole recording, but honestly, my tape got garbled and a little bit recorded over. This is the fourth movement of a song called Second Suite in F for Military Band by a composer named Gustav Holst. This is the fourth movement, Fantasia on the Dargeson. And the reason I want to share this one is, in my opinion, for my era in the mid to late 90s, I think this was the peak of the most talented musicians that we had. And that's not to be a slight at anybody that was in band at anywhere on or around my era of high school. But as you listen to this, now it's still a high school band, like you're still going to hear a couple squeaks and squawks and imperfections. But here's what I want you to keep at the front of your mind as you listen to this particular selection. This is a band of predominantly 13 to 17-year-old kids. Maybe a few 18s in there. But this is kids. The Diane Stoddard era of Climax-Scotts was very powerful, and that's honestly probably going to be a whole episode on its own at some point on this podcast. But let's turn it away to the music to 1996, Second Suite in F by the Climax-Scotts High School Band, Diane Stoddard director. I found a copy of the 1994 Climax-Scotts High School Band Christmas concert. Let me share with you guys. It took me a minute to remember what the heck this first one was called, because over the years we played so many Christmas concerts and so many bells, Carol the Bells, Jingle Bells Around the World, bells, bells, right? And it took me a minute. I really had to wrap my brain around it, and I think I remembered what the name of this song was. And ironically, the words I could not fish out with all these bells, well, here's Climax-Scotts High School Band with Bells, Bells, Bells. Not even kidding. Take it away. bells, 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 bells. I wish this recording was a little bit better, but this isn't about amazing recording quality. But I do want to share, this is just kind of the charms of mid-90s small town America. This wasn't like a mic'd up recording scene or anything like that. This was recorded on a boombox with some D-cell batteries in it on either my mother or my father's lap with an audio cassette in there. And there's only so much I can do to clean this up or make it a little bit more balanced. But that's not what this show is about. This is not about prim and proper and well-tuned, music production. This is about memories of Climax. And we remember a lot of bells over the years from Climax-Scotts High School. Let's move on to that old holiday standard, Sleigh Ride. Now, what I love about this recording is I can listen to this recording from 1994 and still pick out certain people on certain instruments at different times. I know a lot of these people may be married or have different names now, so these are the names I knew them by then. Here and there you'll hear that's Dan DeBelde on trombone, that's Melissa Mercer on the baritone, that's Heather Moreland on the clarinet, just all kinds of fun stuff like that. The memories just flood back. But what I want to point out in this one is in the middle to maybe back third of the song, there's a part of Sleigh Ride that we played it as written, but if you listen closely, it sounds awful darn close to that old Climax pep band hit, Let's Go Blue. So when we get to the more swinging version or the more swinging portion of this song, keep your ear open, because those of us that said, hey, this sounds like Let's Go Blue, we may have emphasized Let's Go Blue a little more than it was intended in the original composition of Sleigh Ride. And with that, let's go on a sleigh ride with CS High School Band,
1994.
Thanks again, everyone, for giving this show a listen. I hope you enjoyed this walk down memory lane with some unique recordings from Climax Past. Thank you, everyone, for listening. However you got this show, hopefully you found whatever one of our many podcast feeds works best for you and your device when Season 1 drops in January. And I want to go out on this song in particular because one of my favorite Christmas carols, maybe my favorite overall. But this one always touches my heart, gets me a little bit misty-eyed. Here is 1994 CS High School Band with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And you know what? You have yourself a Merry Little Christmas, people of Climax and Scotts. I can't wait to see several of you next week. Merry Christmas, everybody.